Hey Harley,
Good evening, Jerry.
how's it going?
Good.
All right. Okay. Um, I'm Raleigh.
Hi, Jerry.
Oh,
Hello.
how's everything at your end over there?
It's good.
Okay, Lance, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you're the chairman. Do you want this recorded?
Yes. Beth does prefer to have it recorded.
Do you want us to go live on Channel 9 with it or put it on Channel 9 at all?
If you want to put it on Channel 9, I don't have the full transparency an issue with that.
Well, I guess that decision's up to you. um, whether you wanted to go on Channel 9 or not.
Yes or no?
Well, we can. I mean, is it all right if we just ask the board beforehand?
We can do this. We can record it and you can talk to them and it can be played back on 9 at any later date or
Okay.
not.
Okay. I mean, my general view is the answer would be yes.
Okay.
And would you like us to upload this meeting on YouTube after it's over?
Let me just get back to you on that.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the same answer, Hartley.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, except that one would go on Channel 9 and the other would go on YouTube, but that's all right.
But whether they go on or not, Sam.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So you want us to monitor this closely, apparently?
Yeah. So do you have it fixed so that when people come in, their video's disabled?
No.
All right, we need to do that.
Disable it from this end.
Pardon?
I can disable it from my end and enable it anytime.
All right, I would probably say that it's probably best, given what happened the last time, that you disable it for everyone. In other words, we don't want folks having their video enabled.
Like that?
It sounds good for me.
Bye, Hartley.
Can you have it set up so that when you admit them, their video's disabled?
I do not. There may be. Let me check around. There may be one of those that will.
Okay, and I assume that let's see. Okay, and you can enable me to, as just me, not me to share my screen. I believe that you can set it up so that a limited number of people can share their screen.
Yeah, I could make you. I believe I have to make you a co-host in order to do that.
Okay.
Go ahead and start your video again.
Okay.
No. So,
I mean, we had two issues during our last meeting. One was someone was able to, with their tools, annotate what someone was presenting with the N word, and that someone through the video was exposing themselves. Those were the two issues we had.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And Hartley, I was telling you, my daughter was nominated for a Grammy.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Well, I told you that long time ago, but
oh, yeah.
Anyway, she won an Emmy.
Congratulations again. And anytime she'd like to do an interview with me on my radio show or for
Okay.
my magazine, I'd love that. Thank you, Lance.
Okay, but she's out
Yep.
in LA.
Well, if there's any way we can connect,
Okay.
that'd be great. Thank you so much. And give her my best.
Yeah.
What was the category?
She I'll get this right. Music engineering or sound engineering for The Mandalorian.
Wonderful.
Okay, Lance.
Yes.
Bottom left where it says stop video.
Yep.
Yeah, that hit that arrow, the up arrow.
Okay. Yep.
And where it says video settings, hit that.
Yep. Yep.
And do you see the share screen, about fourth one down?
Yep.
Okay. That's how you do it.
Okay. It's a lot easier if I just click square sheets. Host disabled participant screen sharing. Do I have to go? Hold on one second. All right, so I cannot share my screen right now. I get a message of host disabled participant screen sharing.
All right, let me try.
Hi, Chaz.
Hello, Jazz.
Okay, Lance.
Yes.
Now see if you can do that.
Yeah, I can. I can now. Hi,
Hello.
Chaz.
How
Can
are
you
you?
see it? If you hit your share screen button, does anything, are you enabled to share your screen?
Host disabled participant screen sharing.
All right, very good. So it works. So I'm enabled to share my screen, but others will not be able to.
All right.
And
That's a
then
good
also,
thing.
yeah. And then also, Chaz, what is this what? Did you not wash your face?
Wow, Lance.
Sorry.
After all this.
Yeah. Just give me a hard time.
Actually, my daughter and I had a little argument, and she said you couldn't even grow a beard, and I went, "Oh, really?" I said I could probably grow one faster than you.
I'm glad of that.
You are white.
Okay, and so also, Chaz, Jerry's going to sort of disable our videos when we start, okay?
Okay.
So we don't have to worry about, someone that we don't know doing something.
Yeah.
I just want to err on the side of caution.
Okay. Well, we should be protected, shouldn't we? I've done other meetings on here that haven't had any problems.
Well, I think we probably had the issue of where we had posted our public hearings before.
Okay.
In the Fitchburg Sentinel.
Yep.
So it was more widespread posting.
Because we had a public hearing. Yeah,
for a public hearing.
That makes sense.
So how have you been? Good?
We've been very busy. We have an increase right now of patients 320%.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
We normally have anywhere from 27 to 30 on a wait list for just counseling services.
Yeah.
The list is over 300 right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this COVID thing is hitting a lot of people hard.
Yeah.
So. Hello, Mr. Hartley.
Hello, Chaz. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Very well.
How are things in town hall?
Well, things were pretty quiet here today. No one was around today because of the
The
you may have
incident.
heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think town hall will be open tomorrow.
Oh, good. Okay. No, I have to get tested every Monday, which is not a fun thing. And then, well, we all go up as a group and we get tested so that we don't even open the office if anybody has, because we do the 15-minute rapid test.
Oh, well, that's better than the, so you don't have to have the Q-tip all the way to the base of your brain, right?
No, we still do that.
Okay.
That's all part of it, but we get our results in 15 minutes and then
Oh, wow.
we meet at 7:30 in the morning on Monday, get that done. So by 8 o'clock, we can open the door.
Okay.
So
How's that feel after a couple of weeks?
I feel like I permanently have one stuck to the back of my nose. It's not a pleasant thing.
I know, it's gotta be horrible.
But,
Well, I've just stayed quarantined, isolated.
well, I have a letter because I work in New Hampshire, so I have to have one to go across state line.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm mandated. It's either my house or at work. Those are the only two places that I go.
Yeah.
So, which I'm not complaining because I don't like shopping and I don't like going to the supermarket and all of that crap. So I'm okay with that.
Well, I do go to the supermarket, but I do it early in the morning between 7 and 8.
Yep.
So.
All righty. So we got
And
a lot.
I mean, it's usually no more than like, 4 to 6 other shoppers at Hannaford at that time.
Yeah. The one here in town.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go to the one in town and I go to the one in Lunenburg. It just depends on what I need and where I'm going. Look at Carol jumping right on like a pro there.
Hi, Carol. Well, no, her audio's not connected yet. So have you been doing any fishing, Chaz?
I did some this weekend. I actually went out to Quabbin.
Okay.
My grandson's birthday was last week, so he wanted to go fishing.
Mm.
So I said, well, where do you want to go? I said, you can come over here. We can go in there. And he goes, no, I want to go in the big lake. And I said, okay. So I took him over to Quabbin. I heard that they stocked a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Well, now that there's water in there wasn't much water for a while.
So Jerry, is your plan to kill everyone's video once we start?
Yeah, I can start doing it as we go if you like.
Okay. You can give us, you can kill it. Why don't you just kill it like at 6:30?
Okay. How many
Beth
folks?
is coming, right?
Yeah, Beth will be here.
Okay.
Without Beth, I'll have to cancel the meeting.
Right. It's a lot of paperwork for this meeting.
Yeah, a lot. Well, I'm one that's anti-paper. So I've got a folder that I'll be clicking on to pull stuff up if I have to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to have to because I've got to read the legal notices.
Yep.
And I have to read the referrals. Hi, Carol.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Here's Beth, speak of the devil.
There you go. Yep.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Oh, good
Hi.
evening, all. I'm glad you can.
Pardon?
I'm glad you can hear me.
I can.
Excellent. Very good.
Beth, just so that I make sure that it's correct, but you would like to have this recorded, correct?
Yes, please.
And I need to add onto the agenda for the board to decide whether or not they want this up on YouTube or projected on Channel 9.
Oh, yeah. What do you typically do, Jerry? And-
Any of the above or
Okay,
none,
it's up to the board.
it's up to you.
Excellent. Okay, so there's really no directive right now. So if you want, I don't have any directive in terms of, what is the expectation right now. So
So sit tight. We'll record it and sit tight, right? For the
Thank you.
time.
Yeah.
thank you.
Beth, what you just sent me, is that what you want me to read?
That is, what I just sent you is the mandatory referrals for Three Wheeler Road.
Yep.
And a letter that was received recently from Dave Henkels from Conservation.
Yep.
It's a long, lengthy letter. You don't have to read the whole thing because the bottom line is he doesn't recommend a peer review. So, I mean, if you want to kind of fly through it, it doesn't have to be read through.
Do you think we need to read that into the record, Beth?
I don't.
Yeah, I think we can just say it. All right,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
so Chaz, you're going to be reading the mandatory referrals?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
he can do all the hearings, right? All the mandatory referrals, Chaz, you can read them all? Perfect.
Yeah. I think I
Okay.
have them, don't I?
You should.
You should have 3 of them.
Yeah, 3 public hearings.
Let me look. I have referral comment for 2.3. And I'll have to look for the other ones.
Okay. Well, 2.3, yeah, 2.3 is the stormwater, 2.4 is the cell tower. And 2.5 is the Squanicook Greenways parking
Yeah.
lot.
Squanicook I do have. Do I have the... Yeah, I have the Squanicook referrals.
Okay, good.
And the other one was the cell tower.
Yep, 12 Ball Road.
Yep, I have those.
Okay. And Lance, you have all the legal notices of public hearing, right?
I do.
Yeah, right.
I also have all the referrals too.
Hey, you can read them too.
No, Chaz does a much better job than I.
Even though I have a little dirt on my face right now.
Oh. Hmm.
I'm embarrassed that I need to ask this question, Beth. I was going to look it up real quick, but remind me, does the special permit renewals require a supermajority?
I do not know, honestly. You will have for board members tonight.
Yep.
But I'll check on that.
Okay.
Yeah. I would assume you'd handle it as you would any special permit.
Yeah, I believe it's a supermajority, but I'm not sure. God, I'm tired. It's been a long day.
And a long year, Lance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a couple of us went over to look at in Nashua where the old Daniel Webster College used to be.
Yeah.
That taken over that building, just because it's got a dormitory attached to it for 150 beds. That's how big we're thinking that
Wow.
this is supposed to go.
Hmm.
So we're going from a 55 bed to 150
Oh, wow.
is what the proposal is.
Goodness.
With the same amount of staff.
Oh, no.
For now, yeah, that's what they were saying. I'm like, yeah, you hold your horses.
Hmm.
Well, that's a scary thing because it's a lot easier to find additional beds than to find additional staff.
Yep. It looks good on paper, but
Hmm.
spend a day in my shoes and you'll see exactly what I
Yeah.
mean.
Mhm.
It's the compassion overload that I have to. I mean, there are times that I gotta walk away. I gotta walk through the mall or something.
Sure. Mhm. Did I send you my inspirational video, Chaz? I think I did. I sent it to Lori. It's the North Central Massachusetts Chamber of Commerce, and it's titled "A Message to North Central Massachusetts."
Yes,
It is
I did see that.
when I am like, yeah, strung out, I watch that video. That's my favorite.
We do have Stan and Gary in the waiting room.
Oh, that's good.
Do they want to be let in?
Excuse me? You can let them in, Jerry.
All right, we'll do that.
It's good to see you, Stan Dillis.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Hi, Jerry.
Hey, Stan, what's up?
How you
Good
doing?
evening, everyone. Gary Amanon.
Welcome.
Hi, Gary.
We just heard from Stan. We just heard from Comcast. Supposedly they're setting up the schedule to get
Wow.
service out in our direction this
Wow.
week, and they should have it out by this week.
Really? Wow.
Could be another month.
Well, what's a month on top of 4 or 5 years, Maybe I'll be able to do this from home pretty soon.
That'd be nice.
Yes, it would.
You just need to get HughesNet Gen 5, Stan.
We have it. I don't
Yep.
trust, I just don't trust it.
Hey,
It got cut out in the middle of a meeting or something.
Jared went through that in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Use up all the data.
Yeah, we're down to nothing now.
Yep. So.
Okay, I show 6:30, so so I have 6:30 Verizon time, so let's go ahead and start this meeting. And if you want to kill everyone's videos for us, Jerry, I'd appreciate that so we don't have any repeat of prior events.
Okay, and I'll start recording.
Yes, you can start recording.
I'll be right back.
Okay, it's 6:30 and I'd like to call the meeting to order. I do see one other person in the waiting room, Jerry.
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Okay. All right. So in terms of additions or deletions, I first of all want to appoint Carol as a full member.
I make a motion to appoint Carol Hofstas as a full voting member tonight.
Yeah. Do I have a second? Oh, we don't have Geraldine here yet.
Right.
Okay, we are recording.
Okay. We're going to have to wait for Geraldine so that we have a quorum, Beth.
Yeah, that is true. She did indicate she's going to attend the meeting, so.
I think with 3 members, Lance, you could do, you would have a quorum to do the A&R plans.
What I'm concerned about is that we don't have a quorum to appoint Carol as a full voting member for tonight.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
So I think I heard you, Beth, that Geraldine did in fact acknowledge that she's attending.
Yes, she is. I'm trying to call her right now.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Geraldine didn't answer either phone, so I don't know what to tell you. I do have a confirmation email from her, she's basically stating she planned to attend.
Okay.
I know Lori Schifrin will not be attending, but Sherilyn was supposed to. Oops.
So Beth, I sent Jerlyn a text message.
Hey, what's up?
Okay.
I'm doing a Zoom meeting right now.
Yeah, I've called her twice, sent an email and a text, and I've got nothing. So I don't know where she is, sadly. This does present a problem.
Yeah.
I think, Lance, that you can appoint Carol yourself as chairman.
That's what I'm looking at now. I agree.
That's what Bill does for the ZBA.
Okay, I did try to give Adam a quick call, but I couldn't get him.
You can, yeah, you can.
I can?
Yes, yeah,
Um,
that's
I
how the
was,
ZBA does it.
I was just checking the bylaw. Does anyone think that we have to have a quorum to appoint her?
No, it's the chairman. It's the chairman.
Okay. Okay, well, if that's, all right, that's good news, so we can get going.
Yep.
All right, so, as chairman of the planning board, I'm going to appoint Carol as a full, member, which means that we have a quorum for this meeting. Carol, do you accept?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. All right. So the only really additions or deletions that I have to the current agenda is I was asked by our esteemed video controllers whether or not we wanted to have this meeting put on Channel 9 and or available on YouTube. So that's something that I think is a board decision as opposed to my decision. So I just wanted to discuss that at the end. With that, all right, let's see. Stan, so why don't we proceed to the A&R? 2.1 on Warren Road. Are you there, Stan?
There we go. Am I unmuted now?
Yep.
Yes.
This is an A&R plan. It's on approximately 16 acres. It creates 3 buildable lots and a parcel that will get conveyed to the abutter. All the lots meet the frontage area requirements, etc. It is Kevin Smith's earth removal operation that's going on right there now, but they're wrapping that up, and now they're going to build 3 homes on the property.
Okay, and Beth, both you and the building inspector have reviewed the A&R.
Yes.
I will say, Stan, that you probably have a career in redistricting for gerrymandering in the future.
Well, you know, that's one thing that actually, at another time and place, but I'd be happy to come in and talk to the board about maybe making a few changes to the zoning that would maybe make some of these crazy things not so easy to do.
Okay, yeah, we'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can you sort of put that on our to-do list, Beth, so we don't lose it?
Absolutely.
All right, so Stan, are you seeking any waivers?
No, sir.
Okay.
Well, hold on, wait a minute, other than maybe, let me just check the scale. Yes, it is at 1 inch equals 60 feet,
Mhm.
and usually you grant a verbal waiver from the 1 inch equals 40 feet.
All right,
required.
so can I have a motion to grant a waiver on the scale?
I make a motion that we waive the scale in regards to 1/40.
Do I have second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Chaz,
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
Lance, aye. All right, do the board members have any questions for Mr. Dillis with regards to the A&R for Warren Road?
I do not have any questions at this time.
Carol,
I don't have any questions. No.
can I have a motion to approve the A&R then?
I move that we approve the A&R for Warren Road.
Do I have a second?
And I'll second that.
Chaz, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Carol, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Lance votes yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so, oh my gosh, you have another A&R.
I do.
I think we can get through this one, you know, again, and I assume, and I've looked at it, is there anything that you want to say about this A&R first, Stan?
Well, Beth and I had a little discussion about this, whether or not to call what I ended up calling Lot 2, should it be called a lot or a parcel? And the regulations say that something with the required frontage and acreage should be called a lot, even though its frontage is on Brookline Road and that frontage is not viable. But I do have a note on the plan, and it says Lot 2 is not a buildable lot as there currently is no practical access from Brookline Road. This parcel is going to be conveyed to Kevin Smith, who's in a butter.
Yep,
And-
I understand that, and I reviewed that with legal counsel, and just as long as the note is on the A&R, we don't need to get into this discussion of lot versus parcel. Is
Right,
what
I
was
mean,
told.
in my mind, from an engineering and a legal perspective, it doesn't really matter what it's called. So, and then the other thing we need, this is 1 inch equals 100 feet, and rather than 1 inch equals 40 feet.
Okay, and Beth, correct me that both you have reviewed this A&R for compliance as well as our building inspector.
Yes, both of us have.
Okay, can we have a motion for waiver on the scale?
I move that we waive the scale from 1 inch equals 40 feet to 1 inch equals 100 feet.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, and so can I have, oh, we should vote. Chaz, how do you vote for the waiver?
I vote yes.
Carol, how do you vote?
Yes.
Lance votes yes. Can we have a motion to approve the A&R for 198 North End Road?
I move that we approve the A&R for 198 North End Road as applied for.
Do I have a second?
And I'll second that.
Okay, Chaz, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Carol?
yes,
And Lance votes yes as well. So that concludes the A&Rs for Warren Road and 198 North End Road. So we're 5 minutes late, but I thought we should start to commence our public hearing for an application for a stormwater management permit on 3 Reeler Road.
Could I just ask a question there? I think that's a special permit. Does that
Yes.
require just 3 votes?
I believe that the special permit requires a supermajority.
Right, so we don't have a quorum to do that?
It just means you can't vote on it tonight. If you want to have the public hearing and the other members can review the minutes, and you would have, they would be able to take the final vote. So I think you can still have the public hearing.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, and to be honest, Stan, I would, we can have the public hearing, and then, we typically, our process is that the board would not vote to approve or disapprove it, that the board would vote after we've drafted a decision. You
Okay.
know what I mean? And vote right on that decision.
That's fine. I just want to make sure we're following the rules.
Yep. Okay. All right. So with that, second. All right. So let me open at 6:51 the public hearing. Let me introduce the board members. So we have Chaz Sexton-Durarian, and we have Carol Hoffus and Lance McNally. Beth, have you captured, since we can't really circulate a sign-in sheet, have you captured the folks that are in attendance at this time?
Actually, yeah, I can see everybody that's here. They're
Okay.
all displayed. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Sorry, I basically don't believe in printing a lot of paper and taking down trees, so I just have to read the public hearing, which I had to open up a file for, which I've already done. All right. In accordance with Mass General Law, MGL Chapter 48, Townsend General Bylaw Chapter 85, NPDES Phase 2 Stormwater Management, and Chapter 175, Article 5 Stormwater Regulations, the Planning Board will hold a virtual public hearing Monday, November 16th, 2020 at 6:40 p.m. regarding an application received from Ambrose Corporation proposing to remove 109,000 cubic yards of material from the property at 3 Reeler Road. The amount in accordance with the governor's order superseding certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A, Section 20. All public meetings are being conducted remotely. You may attend the virtual public hearing on, and I'm not reading the Zoom URL, with the meeting ID or the password. Materials are available digitally on request by emailing Beth. Interested parties are encouraged to attend. Respectfully submitted. It was published in the Centennial on September 11th and September the 25th. All right. Do we have? Do you want to just give us a quick update, Stan?
Sure. This was a special permit that was issued about 3.5 years ago. There was an earth excavation permit, an order of conditions, and a stormwater permit issued for this property. The timing eluded everybody, and all the permits lapsed. So we're in the process of renewing all those permits. We already have reissued the permit from the ZBA, and we have a new order of conditions. So this is our last stop. The work is underway. It's probably about 1/3 of the way done. Based on the order of conditions from the Conservation Commission and their site walk, there are no issues with runoff or erosion or anything like that. So the proposal is, we submitted the exact same proposal as we did in 2016. So nothing's changed other than the work. The work is about 1/3 of the way done.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Stan?
I would like to figure out if there were, Stan, was there any major changes to the stormwater runoff between August 2nd, 2016, as I believe when you first applied and now? Were there any major changes to those regulations?
So the regulations, not that I'm aware of,
Okay, because I didn't see any and I just wanted to make sure.
and not that I'm aware of. I think they've been, the stormwater regulations are the same as when they were adopted by the town.
Okay.
Yes.
Chaz, would I be able to have you read the mandatory referral comments from town officials?
Sure. So the referral comments are for Three-Wheeler Road. This is for the stormwater management permit from the assessor's office, responded with no comment. Board of Health responded with no comment. Board of Selectmen responded with no comment. There was something from the building inspector, but we retracted that by the building commissioner. And reference was made to the application submitted to the Zoning Board of Appeals. There was Highway Department responded with no comment. Water Department responded with no comment.
Okay, thank you.
There was also a letter too from the Conservation Commission. Did you want me to read that, Lance?
I think not right now, because I'm just going to summarize it in terms of we have gotten a letter from Dave Hinkle that basically states that, and I'm paraphrasing it, that there's been no major modifications and that he felt that there was no need to re-go through with a new stormwater permit peer review. And Bill Cadigan from ZBA also commented to that effect. If anyone would like Chaz to read the full letter from the conservation agent, we can. Is there any such request from the public? Okay. Is there any written or anything from any concerned abutters or citizens?
No, the office hasn't received any comments or concerns from abutters.
Okay. Any other questions from board members?
I don't have a question, but I just want to say that I've really reviewed a lot of this, and I feel that this hasn't really changed much since it was originally approved. And I don't have any issues with what I see here.
I agree with that. I agree with you, Chaz. I did the same. All right. So I think that I think maybe the next step is to take a motion to instruct, to ask Beth to kindly draft a decision, basically supporting the board's opinion that a new stormwater permit, the existing one can be extended, and there's no need to go through the process of generating a new one.
So we're looking at, Mr. Chair, to draft a decision in favor.
Yes, to draft a decision to be reviewed at the next, planning board meeting. So we just basically want Beth to draft a decision indicating that we feel that we do not need to, but we're not giving approval.
We don't, there is no need to have a peer review.
Correct.
Okay. I move that we ask the administrator to draft a decision to review in our next planning board meeting that there is no need for a peer review for this application.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Chaz, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Lance, yes. So Stan, we'll go ahead and then have a decision that the board can vote on to, approve that decision
Okay.
after we review it. Okay.
That would be
And
great.
so then could I have a motion to continue this public hearing until our next planning board meeting which is it December help me, Beth?
30th, November 30th.
Excuse me, till November 30th at 6:45 PM.
I move that we continue the public hearing for 3 Wheeler Road until our next meeting on November 30th, 2020.
Do I have a second?
At 6:45.
I'll second that.
Okay, with the amendment of at 6:45.
Yep.
Chaz, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And Lance votes yes.
Thank you.
All right, and our next public hearing is not until
Thank you.
7:15. Thank you. Our next public hearing is not until 7:15, so let's get some work done in the meantime. So I assume that everyone has had a opportunity to review the minutes of our 9/14/2020 meeting. If so, are there any questions or comments on that?
I do not have any.
No,
Here.
I don't have any comments.
I don't have any other comments either on that. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of 9/14?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
How do you vote, Chaz?
Yes.
How do you vote, Carol?
Yes.
Lance votes yes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of September the 28th, 2020? And do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Chaz?
No, I'm okay to vote on it.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the minutes of September the 28th, 2020?
So moved.
All
I'll
Okay.
second it.
right, Chaz, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And Lance votes yes. All right. So I'm going to jump down to 3.1. So this one's going to be interesting, Beth. So even though that we could appoint Carol as a full voting member tonight, I assume then that she can vote on her appointment as a full member. So I move that we appoint Carol Hoffus as a full member of the planning board for a term to expire 2023. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Chaz, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Lance votes yes. Carol?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have Bill Rideout with us? Do you know, Beth?
Let's see.
I don't see him on the list.
I don't see him either, not yet.
Okay. All right, so let me move on to 3.3, scenic roads regulations and discussions. So where we had left that was I had looked at the scenic roads bylaw / regulations for Groton, and they were relatively vague in terms of, they just basically, looking at it, you couldn't alter any stone wall without a special permit, without a permit from the planning board. And our regulation basically specifies a certain distance from, the town's right of way. One of the questions I had for Beth was, when I looked at our bylaw or regulation, it had been amended during it had been amended in 2014. And so I wanted to understand the extent of the amendment before moving forward. And
Mhm.
really only the amendment added definitions in terms of what a right of way were or what have you. So it really wasn't anything substantive in terms of changing it. What we were discussing that we really didn't want stone walls that were, I guess, and I'm going to put this very vaguely, that were near the road. We wanted to maintain the character of our towns and our roads. And so even if it was a foot past the right of way, we still felt as if it should be protected. And so I'm sort of asking the board, what sort of next steps you would like to see. Does someone want to take the action to draft a proposed amendment? Do you want me to try to draft a proposed amendment? Do you want to look at what other towns have that are neighboring, Lunenburg, Ashby, Pepperell, in terms of their bylaw? Sort of seeing here what our next step should be.
So you're saying the amendment to the 145-24C10?
Was basically adding definitions of defining terms such as right of way, defining, that was the extent of it. Hold on a second and I'll be more precise. I have to just pull it up on my computer. God, I got so many folders.
So I'm looking at the 145-24C10, and that you're looking to put more definition on that, Lance?
Well, we had a discussion at the board, and hold on a second. I can't even find it now, and I had found it earlier. We had the discussion of, even though I have, let's just say, a stone wall going across my property that's like, I'm going to make something up, 15 feet from, or 10 feet out of the town's right away.
Yep.
Do we want folks to be able to, without a permit, tear that stone wall down?
Well, I have a couple of concerns in regards to that we do need to justify it, because some stone walls have drill holes marking the bounds.
Yeah.
So if the wall is removed and there's no iron pipe or granite marker, then the bound marker is lost. So I have concerns about that.
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
So, okay, so as far as 145-24C, that really kind of encompasses a lot of so we would need to make a definition so what you're asking is, do we feel like we need to add to this?
I think we need to modify it, and I think that if we believe that we want to, let me just say the word, protect stone walls that are out of the certain distance from the town's right of way.
Mm-hmm.
I think to maintain the character, that's a good thing. But on the other hand, if I look, I think at the Groton bylaw, they restrict any stone wall. So even if I had a stone wall 200 yards on the back of my property, I couldn't, and I think that would be overly restrictive, if you know what I mean.
Correct.
So I guess I'm looking for, how do you want me to take the action item to draft, or does someone else want to just take the action item to draft a revised bylaw that is protects stone walls that are within reasonable sight of the road, and just limit it to that? Make it a little bit more protective, but not overly protective, if you know what I mean, for walls that are along the side of people's property, or the rear of people's property, or going through people's property.
Mm-hmm.
Could I ask a question on that?
Yes.
So, because I love stone walls, but I also don't want to intrude on people's personal property either.
Mhm.
Correct.
But there are some stone walls that are basically hidden in the woods, even along the road, that are all overgrown with brush. You can hardly see them. So I don't have stone walls on my property, but just for instance, if I had a stone wall and it was all covered in brush and everything, and I wanted to, if I had the money to have somebody come in and rebuild that stone wall, could I do that if it's not in the right of way? Or are you saying I can't touch that stone wall at all and leave it in the brush and the briars and?
No, what we're saying is that if you would like to, do something with that stone wall, you have to come before the planning board with what your plans are. And the planning board can approve it or disapprove it.
Okay.
So it puts the planning board in a policing mode.
So
Yeah.
it's and I understand where you're saying that, Carol, and it's there may be instances where somebody will remove a wall, let's just say, and then we're going to have to say that you're going to have to put it back. So I'd rather be proactive than reactive.
Yeah, because normally
If-
what we've done in the past is someone comes before us with a permit, asking that, they're planning on doing this to the stone wall. And it's usually to break, to put a driveway through a wall. And always in the past, we've approved them, and we just want to have before and after pictures. So that this is what you said
Okay.
you're going to do, and then this is what you did.
Right. I mean, I agree with Lance. I don't want this to be restrictive, but I also, with our need to make sure that we retain the character of our community. I think, it's something that it needs to be addressed, but I don't think it needs to be overly restrictive, I guess is the best way I can think of saying it.
Okay. I just don't want to be too restrictive
Right.
on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I don't
agree with
either.
you.
Yeah.
All right, do you want me to then just take the action item to try to draft something?
Would you,
Sure.
Lance? Because
I
I've
will.
got the 43D. I've got like 4 or 5 things on the back burner here that I'm still working on.
Okay. All right, I'll take the action item to draft something up for the board to review then. And Beth, can you help me, or do you have any time to help me to pull with what like maybe Ashby and Lunenburg does and Pepperell?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we have all that right now.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and that can help me get why reinvent the wheel? I might be able to leverage some stuff from there.
Okay.
Absolutely. Mhm.
All right, and then I will have for the next meeting, I will actually have the scenic roads details on that amendment because I can't find it in this short time.
Mhm.
Even though I thought for sure I had moved it into my scenic roads folder, it's for somewhere not there, so I may have put it in the folder above or below it.
Mhm.
All right, okay, so that's 3.3, which is probably, we don't have enough time to start to discuss the MRC and Townsend draft age restricted housing development zoning bylaw right now. So because of our next public hearing. Let me give it 15 seconds. Hold on a second. Hank, stop that. Okay, it's 7:15. So I would like to open the public hearing, which is the application for renewal of a cell tower site on 12 Ball Road. Let me introduce the board members in case anyone has forgotten. I'm Lance McNally, and we have Chaz with us, and we have Carol with us. So Beth, have you got captured or can you capture who's currently attending the meeting, since we can't really pass around a sign-in sheet?
Yes, thank you.
All right, and while you're doing that, let me read the legal ad. Townsend Planning Board legal notice. In accordance with MGL Chapter 48, Section 11, and Townsend zoning bylaws, Section 145-42, Site Plan Review Special Permit, Section 145/65, Special Permit in Section 145-51, Telecommunications and Cellular Towers, the Planning Board will hold a virtual public hearing on Monday, November the 16th at 7:15 p.m. regarding an application from SBA Towers V LLC to renew a special permit for existing cell tower located at 12 Ball Road, Assessors Map 45, Block 2, Lot 0, Zone Residential RB2, in accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GIC 34A, Section 20. All public meetings are being conducted remotely. You may attend the virtual public hearing on Zoom at Bablaza link with the meeting information. Materials are available digitally by requesting by emailing Beth. Parties wishing to speak in favor, for, and opposition to the proposal may do so in writing prior to the hearing or at the hearing in person, represented by an agent or attorney. Interested parties are encouraged to attend. Respectfully submitted. All right. Let's see, who's going to be presenting here?
Mr. Boucher, Greg Boucher is here tonight.
Okay. And so anything to say about your proposal, Greg?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
You're coming across loud and clear.
Okay, great. Thank you. I submitted my proposal back in May before, well in advance of August 25th is when the special permit is currently scheduled to lapse. But then because of the pandemic, we weren't able to have a hearing until later. And then on September 28th, when I thought we were going to have a hearing, I think there was some technical difficulties that night with the planning board, and so now we've been rescheduled till now. Just recently, we learned that the landowner, George Morey, well, we knew he had passed away back in May, but SBA, who has a lease and an easement to operate the tower at 12 Ball Road. We just recently learned that Mr. Morey, before he passed, transferred ownership to a trust. And late last week, I obtained a statement and an authorization from the trustees of the trust that owns the land. And I submitted that to Beth Faxon to hopefully distribute to the board, showing that I have authorization from the landowner.
She did.
Okay, great.
Okay. Anything else?
I mean, I can go through how I believe I meet the requirements. It's underneath the zoning bylaw 145-51, as long as there's no substantial, nothing substantial that's gone on at the tower since the last renewal, that this renewal should be allowed.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't think we need to go through that, but if Carol or Chaz feels differently, Carol, Chaz, do you think we have to go through it in that detail? We've already renewed this once, I think, since I've been on the board.
I don't think we need to go through the whole thing, no.
No, I agree. I don't think we need
Okay.
to go through the whole thing.
Okay, then, all right. So unless you're hurt, Greg, then I think we'll just push on.
I'm happy to stay quiet unless I hear from any objections.
Okay. All right. So Chaz, could I please ask you to read the mandatory referrals?
Sure. The referral comments for 12 Ball Road, cell tower site plan review special permit. Assessor's office, the Board of Assessors are in favor of a special permit renewal because it provides tax revenue to the town. Board of Health responded with no comment. Board of Selectmen responded with no comment, with expressed appreciation for the referral. Building Inspector responded with no comment. Fire Department responded with comments. Emergency Services would like to be allocated space on the tower for emergency communications unless there is already said language in the original agreement that will carry forward. And that was from, I believe, the fire chief. Highway Department responded with no comment. Water Department responded with no comment. And I do not see any abutters or residents' comments.
Okay, Beth, have you received any correspondence from any abutters or concerned citizens?
No, nothing's been received.
Okay, so a question for Greg that I have is there anything in in the existing agreement that allows the fire department any space to put emergency communications equipment on the tower? And if not, do you have an issue with that?
I'm once that I heard that comment from the fire department, I've been rifling through the papers to see if there's anything in here. Typically, there's no issue with that.
Okay.
I just am looking to see if, because I know I do this for towers in other towns, and oftentimes we do give the town emergency services room on the towers, and I'm just looking back through to make sure. I mean, I can't imagine that this would be a problem, but
Okay. Does it make sense, Greg, for you to propose some wording to us and how you would like that worded? Because I think that if it was me, or if I were you, I would probably want it worded in the such that the fire department or first responders are more than welcome to put equipment that is reasonable or something. You know what I mean? I don't think it should just be they can put a 2-ton antenna or something.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I would appreciate just being able to go back and confirm with the client what kind of standard language or that make sure that they're fine with it. Like I said, I can't imagine it being a problem, but I also don't want to bind something to the client, as unless checking with them. But I anticipate that this should not be a problem, and I can provide some language that reasonable,
Okay.
Is for the town.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be, it shouldn't hurt your client in the sense where it could be something unreasonable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions from any other board member?
I do not have any questions.
Carol?
No, I have no questions.
Do we have any questions or comments from the public that's attending this meeting? Okay, with that, then I think just as the other public hearing, I would like to have a motion that Beth starts to please draft a decision for the cell phone tower, incorporating language that Greg's going to provide for the planning board to review at our next planning board meeting.
I move that the administrator draft a decision approving the application for renewal of a cell tower site plan review special permit to be decided in our November 30th meeting.
Okay, Carol, second?
I'll second that.
All right. Chaz, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Lance votes yes as well. And so then let's have a motion to continue the public hearing until November 30th at 7:15.
So moved.
Carol, do you second that?
Yes.
Chaz, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And Carol?
Yes.
And Lance votes yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Greg.
Yeah, thank you, Greg.
No, thank you very much. So I'll work with Beth on this and then come back on the 30th to hopefully receive approval for the draft decision.
Yep.
Okay. So I can sign off.
You sure can, unless you would like to participate in other work that we have.
Thank you very much. I'll sign off.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, and I'll see you on the 30th, and I'll be in touch with Beth.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So let me try to see if I can get some other work done. I think that is probably, I think ambitious. Well, let's get some of the simple stuff taken care of. So I'm skipping 3.4 right now as the DLTA MRPC Townsend draft age restricted housing development zoning bylaw, as well as the chapter 43D. So let's, yes.
John Hume is on if you have time to discuss 3.4 and 3.5 from MRPC.
Okay. All right. We can start with 3.4 then. And hopefully, if we get through it before 8 o'clock, we get through it before 8 o'clock. All right, let me pull it up. So I assume that each board member's had an opportunity to look at the existing draft.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm opening it up right now with my comments.
I also have, we also have Chris McDermott here tonight who has
Okay.
worked on the draft. So we have our expertise on board.
Okay. All right. So I guess let's see. My first comment is on section B. Does anyone have any comments before then?
No.
I'm trying to find my document.
All right, I'll wait for you, Chaz. Holler when you're ready.
Beth, what was the date on that you sent that out?
The last one, sorry, I'm trying to find it myself. Okay, one moment. Second. Wasn't too long ago.
11/11.
Yeah, okay. There we go. It's working.
I just forwarded it to Chaz to you.
I think I found it. Please find the most recent iteration of the draft age restricted. Yep, there it is. Okay. I'm waiting for it to load.
Okay.
Carol, do you have it?
Yes, I have a copy.
Okay. No, my notes are not on that, Lance, before that section B.
Okay. All right, hold on a second. Oh, all right. So my comment is in section 2, where it says a senior residential development is intended for people age 55 or over, or those who suffer from a physical disability. I'm sort of the mindset to just have this bylaw for 55 plus and not include the term physical disability, because I think that's very hard to define.
I 100% agree with you. And the reason why I do is that we have a facility already in town that deals with that. And this really was more for just age restriction as opposed to a physical disability.
Okay.
Carol?
So you have housing in town already for people who are like maybe on like a disability,
Yes, Atwood Acres.
who want like 55.
Yep, Atwood Acres is for that.
Okay.
Those are they're considered age in place, which means that they are, if they have a physical disability, they can move in there and it will accommodate, like, as they age, if the stoves need to be lowered or the sinks need to be lowered, they have the ability to do that in those facilities.
Okay.
Okay, and then my second comment on there. Chris or John, any questions from you on that?
Nope, fine by me. This is Chris, by the way.
Okay. All right. And then there's also, I don't know who EF is. Oh, that's Beth,
Beth.
right? Yeah. I would probably, I see your comment in terms of visitability.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I interpret this right, would it be better to put in the word guest parking or visitor parking? Is that what visibility means, Chris?
Sorry, I was just taking myself off mute.
Okay.
Yeah, I would assume so. This was taken from a set of draft language that we took from Littleton.
Yeah.
Visibility was one of the phrases that was in there. I did a quick search to see if there was, a recognized planning term as far as that's concerned, and there isn't. So I think it's just something they came up with. But
Okay.
yeah, I would assume it means like guest parking, having like, a meeting room or a living room instead of just having like, studio housing, stuff like that. Just make it housing that's amenable to people having their kids over, their grandchildren over.
Okay, so then I would probably recommend that we then specify guest parking and meeting, room with maybe parentheses S or meeting areas or something like that.
Okay.
Does that, Beth, and that, since that was your comment, does you think that makes it clear?
I do, and I wonder if Chaz might have some feedback on that term.
Well, I don't like the visibility term, visitability.
Yeah.
What are we trying to provide here? That the development has enough spaces for not only the residents but for people who want to visit them? Is that what we're trying to say here?
Yeah, that it has. I think I interpret this, and I think this is what we need is that if this is 55 plus, then there should be parking so that if I want to visit my mother, I can. And, there should be like a conference room or a sitting area that, if she just has a small 1-bedroom room or something that the family could meet.
Yeah, so it would be considered a common area. And,
Okay.
and just in general for this, I do not like the term senior residential development.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That that kind of says to me that it's a different, that is more like Townsend Woods than what we're proposing. 55 and older. I'm older than 55, but I still wouldn't want to be called a senior.
So what do you want to call it?
It really would be an age restricted development.
Okay, good. We can definitely make that change.
The
It's bad.
uses are. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chaz. I'm sorry.
Well, what we're trying to be able to do is to allow for, we want to provide for more housing for an age group that's in town that we want to keep in town. So I really don't want to start calling it senior. because that puts it in a different category.
So Chris, that can be stricken and replaced, correct? Pretty easily?
Absolutely, happy to do so.
The next area, if we're done with that, it would be the
All right, I'm done with B. I have comments on C, but if you have comments with C,
Yep.
go ahead.
Nope, it's the same thing. We need to be congruent with what we have as far as approval within town. So you and I probably have the same thing there, Lance. Go ahead.
I think I'm good. I'm good with one. I mean, I just wanted to, well, let me just bring it up. So I guess the question is, or my comment is, do we want to have a subset where a cottage dwelling or a two-family dwelling could be done by right without going through a special permit process?
Correct.
I mean, that's my general comment. I clearly wouldn't want to see a, continuing care retirement community going up with 100 beds without going through a special permit process. But at the same time, I believe that a multifamily dwelling doesn't need to go through that type of scrutiny.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's my one comment on uses.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
With do we have any verbiage in regards to assisted living residences or continuing care or retirement communities?
I'm not aware of any.
Yeah, see, I'm not either. I'm wondering if we need to have that in there.
I mean, do you think we could just simplify it to the fact that cottage dwellings and two-family dwellings, people have the right to, but anything additional to that, a special permit must be pulled?
That's exactly, yep. I agree with that.
Yeah, is that possible, Chris, to rewrite that? And by right?
Possibly.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. Let me talk to John. John, do you have any input on that?
Well, we could take a closer look at it. And I think that we could accommodate something, but we'll take a closer look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, Chris and John. All right. Do you have anything else in section C, Chaz or Carol?
No.
These are all in regards to special permits, so I
mean, other than changing the term as we agreed to before, senior residential development.
right. In it's part of it is further defined in section C uses as 4, like adult daycare center, accessory uses for residences and all that kind of stuff. I'm not really sure if we are looking to have all that.
Are you just looking to have age-restricted housing for people who don't need additional care, that they are self-sufficient
Correct.
without all the assisted living and the memory care units and stuff?
Absolutely.
So-
Just housing, affordable housing for them, whether it be a townhouse or something like that.
Okay, so can we take out all the other language that has to do with skilled nursing facility and assisted living and in the memory care? Can that just all come out?
Yeah, that's what I'm not really, because here's the thing, we have if that is something that would fall under a special permit anyway, right?
Mhm.
Beth, yes?
It would. Mhm.
Lance, what do you think of that?
I agree that since, I think that we can just, um, pull that out to make this simpler, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So strike E and F, basically.
Yes.
Strike both. Okay.
And then 3 and 4, I don't think we really need in there. Or do we?
I agree.
I agree as well.
Okay.
And I did have one comment on 6 is, and maybe it's a question for Chris or John. Do you have any experience with when defining the off-street parking requirements? Do you know what this is based upon, or is it just what Littleton has?
Yeah, that would be what Littleton has.
Okay. Beth, would you be able to, on our next version, have Karen review this to see what her feedback would be?
Absolutely.
Because I have no idea to me, it seems like skilled nursing facility or physical rehabilitation center, if included in a continuing care. I mean, I would pull that out first of all, but I don't know. It seems to me one space per bed is fairly extensive. That's a lot of parking.
Yeah.
But I think that if we just, as before, just keep it to a age-restricted housing and pull out the other facilities because they need a special permit anyway, I think that would be good. Is the way to go. Does that make sense, Chris?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, Beth, do you have anything else on there that you want to discuss?
I just wanted to kind of if you could review your changes, just quickly. I've written them down, but I just want to make sure you're in agreement. Back on section C under uses, you want to strike C1, E, and F completely, correct?
One more time. I think, yeah, we're striking C, D, E, and F.
Correct.
Oh, D, E, and F. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, D, E, and F. And then under C uses, you're striking number 3 entirely, correct? 3, A, B, C, and D.
Well, let me back up on C.
I'm on C.
The intent is, I think, and correct me wrong, Chaz or Carol, but I think the intent is to be able to allow college dwellings and 2-family dwellings by right. So in other words, if we met the other requirements, then they don't have to come to the planning board to get a special permit for a 55 plus or an age restricted cottage dwelling or 2-family dwellings.
What
Yes.
about the townhouse dwelling?
That I feel should have a special permit because there's a lot of a townhouse would have other things that we would need to look for.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
that would have to be permitted not only through the planning board, but they would have to go through the Board of Health for septic and that kind of stuff too.
But wouldn't they have to do that for cottages and 2-family houses?
Yeah, they would. Yes, they would.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't have to. The point is, they wouldn't have to come to the. I mean, the extent is that you don't need to come to a planning board to pull a special permit for a 2-family dwelling.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
But on C, D, E, and F, you would have to.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Excellent.
Now, on 2, it's in the industrial district, the planning board may grant a special permit for an age-restricted housing development that includes independent living units. I mean, we don't need assisted living or skilled nursing facility, right? I'm asking. I guess.
You know, maybe to even make this even more simpler, why not just get rid of, no, never mind. I was thinking of getting rid of 2. And basically have industrial district as part of 1.
Oh, you can add it in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
that would work.
Beth, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, because that's the least restrictive zone. So,
Correct.
yeah, you're gonna cover all other zones, but you know, by including, yeah, you're fine.
And then strike all of 3.
Street, okay, yep, the whole thing, A, B, C, and D, gotcha.
Yeah.
And I put it-
And
All right.
and what about 4, which would then be 3?
I can't see why you would keep that out.
It doesn't need an adult. Well, I believe what you were talking about earlier, Lance, is the uses for residents, employees, and guests, such as a central, common dining facility or a meeting area. Is that what you were talking about, Lance?
That's what I was talking to in section, let me get there, in B part 2, sort of instead of saying visibility, basically say guest parking and separate meeting areas or you know, common areas or however you want to word it.
Yeah, I mean, it says it on 4B, accessory uses for residents, employees, and guests, such as a central or common dining facility or laundry facility, or indoor or outdoor recreation facilities. We could add parking on that too, if you wanted to, actually.
Well, I think that in my mind it's just, I don't think you have to provide a common dining area. You just need to have an area that if I have my small 1-bedroom, assisted living place, a spot for my family to come see me.
Like a clubhouse or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or a small meeting room or something. It doesn't have to be a dining area.
Okay.
And I guess this may be written as sort of just a suggestive, for the developer, because the way it's worded, it says the development may also include the following,
Okay.
which we think are a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make it a nicer community. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So does that in your mind, are you clear then, Beth, with the changes so far that we've gone through?
Yeah. Other than the vistability, I don't know if you came to a consensus on what you wanted to use in replacing that word, or if you want to come back to that.
What about if we just do a decision right now that is going to be for guest parking and common meeting areas?
Okay. Agreed.
Okay.
I'll agree to that. Yeah.
Chris, is that okay?
Works for me, just getting it down for guest parking and common meeting areas.
Yeah.
And that's going into section 2 or B2. Yep. All right, cool. Where visibility was.
Okay. Okay, so Beth, let's see. So you good so far with the changes we've made?
Thank you.
All right. All right. So, All right, so I noticed, Beth, that you had some comments in. All right, we were going to check with Karen for parking requirements.
And Eric, the building commissioner, yes,
Okay.
Mhm.
speak to that.
All right, so E, in section E, and does anyone have any comments before section E?
Just that we are going to strike again the assisted living residents, independent living units, and townhouse dwellings.
Okay.
Those are all special permitted.
Oh, who is at 978? Who is the dial-in person? Ending in 6241.
It's me, Andrea Wood.
Oh, hi, Andrea.
Do we also want the no dwelling unit is shall have more than 2 bedrooms? Is that acceptable?
I think so.
Okay. Space requirements, I don't have any issues with any of that.
Okay. All right, section E.
I'm sorry, Lance. On number 6,
Yep.
off-street parking, we need to take out skilled nursing facility or physical rehabilitation center.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead. And E.
E, I think we use the same definition that we did before for visibility.
Mm-hmm.
They must have like guest parking and common meeting rooms. And I noticed that Beth had the comment of what is structured parking?
What would be considered structured parking? Meaning that painted lines and that kind of stuff?
I don't know.
Chris?
Yeah, I was gonna say I did another quick search just to see if I could find anything. The response that I found just online was basically any covered parking. So anything that was subterranean parking, covered parking with an awning over it, parking that was a garage. That seems to be. I looked at the development that this enabled in Littleton, and that seemed to be the model that was put forward.
Okay.
They did a cottage development, and each cottage had a 1-car garage. So that's how I interpret that. But happy to change it in any way, shape, or form that makes it easier for you guys to use.
I think you can just keep life simple and just, keep it to parking. I don't think we need to define indoor or outdoor.
Yep. I
Sounds
agree.
good.
Okay.
Although I think in New England, it's nice to have a garage. But you can't really, you don't want to dictate that.
Right, and I don't want to structure it, Beth, so that if a developer came in and wanted to put like 2 units, that they had to have something there.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else under section E?
So for E, how would you like to word it?
For,
I'm looking at E, 1E, E1E.
I would just say parking.
Just strike indoor or structured and leave.
Yes.
And just leave parking.
You'll have the following features, parking.
Now, we're also, Chris, going to be able to structure this as far as the formatting on this, just like our other bylaws?
Yeah, I was trying to do that as much as possible.
Okay.
I noticed you guys have the lowercase letters are bracketed in your bylaw, and I just couldn't figure out how to do that on Word.
Okay.
but yes, I imagine in the final product, it absolutely would be.
Okay. I know it's old school, but it works for us, my friend.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm all for uniformity.
Okay. Beth, what was your concern in regards to the ADA compliance as well?
That linked back to handicap residents that
Mhm.
was initially identified in the purpose of the bylaw.
Hmm.
People with disabilities, in that regard, I would assume it would all have to be ADA compliant, and that is something I know a little about, but I do know the building commissioner knows a lot about, so I just
Correct.
penned it in there.
Yep. I agree with you there. So we do need to include some sort of compliance with that.
So that's something I'll check with Eric, the building commissioner, on.
And then I'm good with that spot.
Okay. And I think Beth, that's your comment to change drainage is fine.
Yeah, that's the way it is now. And
Okay.
yeah, that's exactly verbatim to our bylaw.
Okay.
That's why that
Mhm.
looks familiar, that whole section. Chris did a great job there transferring it over, right?
Okay. I don't have anything else. Chaz?
I'm looking for my notes. No. And we have the definitions. Beth, the decision that follows along with our other decisions, right? That whole format.
Yes, it does. Yep.
Okay.
Just made sure that was compliant and meshes with what we have existing.
Mm-hmm.
Under procedures, number 1, you can see that there is a comment on that.
Yeah.
Something, it would be reviewed with town council just to make sure that we have, the procedures, procedurally that we have the appropriate bylaws cited. So that's a town council.
So on the definitions, do we need to have assisted living residence, continuing care, retirement community, those things?
If we're not, we deleted them, so we do not, right?
Correct.
Where do you see that? Are you Oh, you're talking about the definitions?
Yes.
Yeah, so strike
Yep.
the detached.
Just so I got you, that's assisted living, continuing care, and independent living, correct?
Yes.
Did I miss something?
Just
those 3.
Yep, just those 3.
Now, Beth, I'm just looking at this logistically. Do we have enough? Can we hold a public hearing on this on, we can't do it on November the 30th, right?
Correct.
We have to do it on our December the 3rd meeting?
There's a meeting on December 7th.
Okay.
I am trying to figure out whether or not we need to give, I'm not sure whether it's a 35-day comment period for town boards to, to review it.
Okay.
I don't think it is, but that's the one thing I would check. I mean, if you guys wanted to have it on the 7th, you could do it on December 7th, or the following meeting, I think we then have is January 11th.
Hmm.
So,
But isn't there a grant deadline of December the 15th?
yeah,
Yeah, it should be done before the last of the year. We were
Yeah,
hoping that it would be done before Christmas, I think, is what we were trying for.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so-
our deadline is December 31st.
Yeah.
Okay, so it probably behooves us to have a public hearing on December the 7th.
okay.
Does that make sense, John and Chris?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
And so then maybe we can have sort of what we consider to be the final draft then. You know, what we'll need before we make the public hearing announcement.
Well, we need the final draft because I would need to have that informed to be able to circulate to boards and committees for the review. So
Okay,
we need
and
that.
what,
Also need to post it, publish in the paper.
Mm-hmm.
and so what date is that, Beth?
Oh, so the publication would occur no earlier than actually next Monday. So it would have to be published on Monday. And again, the week after.
Okay, so does that work in your time frame, Chris?
Absolutely. I can have that done.
Okay,
good.
great.
Okay, then I'll publish.
Okay, any other comments or questions from Chaz or from Carol or from anyone before we move on?
I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
Okay.
John and Chris, thank you very much for helping us out with this. And you know, we'll take the next step here.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, so it's just a little bit after 8 o'clock, 8:02 to be precise. So I would like to open the public hearing.
Lance,
Yes,
since there isn't a quorum to vote on this tonight, the rail trail people would like to move this along, but there's a conundrum here as to exactly what the assessor's map and parcel is and what the exact address of the property is. So we're gonna ask to continue. So I don't know if you want to open the public hearing and then continue, or you want me to officially request a continuation. So procedurally, I don't know how you want to handle that.
all right, so let's just do this procedurally. Let me open up the public hearing and then why don't you request a continuous and then we can go from there, okay?
Okay, yep.
But so let me officially open up the public hearing at 8 p.m., which is a site plan review special permit for Squanicook Greenways right there by 9 Center Street is how I'll describe it. And so let me read the legal notice. In accordance with MGL Chapter 40, Section 11 and Townsend zoning bylaws, Section 145, 142 site plan review special permit, Section 145-65 special permits. The Townsend Planning Board will hold a virtual public hearing on Monday, November 16th, 2020 at 8 p.m. Regarding an application from Squanicook Greenways Incorporated for construction of a 12 parking spaces to provide parking for accesses to the Squanicook Rail Trail at 9 Center Street, Assessors Map 51, Block 136, Lot 0, Zone Commercial DCD, in accordance with the Governor's Order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, GI Section 30A, Section 20. All public meetings are being conducted remotely. You may attend the virtual public hearing and materials are available digitally on request by emailing Beth. Parties wishing to speak in favor of or in opposition of the proposal may do so in writing prior to the hearing or at the hearing in person, represented by an agent or attorney. Interested parties are encouraged to attend. Respectfully submitted. So that's the legal hearing. I think we've already introduced the board members. Beth, have you captured those folks that are attending the public hearing?
Yes, I have, thanks.
Okay, great. Since we can't, we need to get a virtual public sign-in sheet that we can pass around. And so, Stan, would you like to sort of propose what you want to move forward with?
Sure. There's a glitch in the assessor's map, and this part of the MBTA property does not have a map and parcel number. When we submitted our application, we submitted the application based on the assessors, what the assessors show this map and parcel at, and we now know that's incorrect. And Bill Rideout had conversations with the assessors to fix that, and he tried to get them to give us something today, but the town hall was closed. So we don't have that issue resolved, although I think it's easily resolvable. But since there's not a quorum tonight and we're not going to really take any votes or resolve anything, I think it's probably best if we just continue to resolve that issue. Then everybody will be content with the application being correct, and then we can move forward with the proposal.
Okay, so can I have a motion to continue the public hearing for the Quantico Greenways Incorporated on approximately on 9 Center Street until November the 30th at 8 p.m.
So
Hold on a second. Yeah, 8 p.m.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Chaz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And Lance votes yes as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Stan.
Since this will go pretty quick, Bill, you were going to, I think Kim said that you would be able to provide an update to the planning board on the master plan committee.
On the master plan committee. Yes. So we've got one of the major things we're focusing on now is the financial plan. And we've got the draft from them, and we have some edits that we want. And so that is our focus at the moment, getting those edits ready and sending it back so that we can get a final version of the business part of the plan. So that was our focus last time. We're also drawing in all the pieces so that we can get a draft out.
Okay.
So those are the two focuses of the work.
Is there any area that you need help from the planning board on right now?
I do not believe so, although I'm not really the expert on the housing section, and Kim might know. I'm not sure exactly what she needs for housing, but if there's something with housing, I'll have her contact Beth.
Okay, I mean, we just want to make sure that we're working together on this, and if you need some help, please don't hesitate saying, hey, we could use some help here, or we have an issue here that could you help us with, okay?
We really appreciate it.
Okay, and thank you for that. So when are you targeting a draft to be available?
We were targeting early December.
Okay, and also feel free if you just want to roll out sections at the time with us, as opposed to a complete plan.
Right.
You know, that may be more efficient, so that you can get feedback as you're going through it, as opposed to waiting and then, you know, for a whole document.
That certainly makes sense.
Okay, do I have any, Chaz, do you have any other, do you have any comments or questions?
I do, and I'm wondering if it would be down for when we appoint or when we can do now. I just want to make sure that everything that we agreed upon, Lance, in our meeting on the town common that day are we still in agreement with all of those? That we're going to have updates every meeting, and that if we need any help or if the master plan needs any help, that we are available?
I believe so. Bill or Audrey, do you feel any different? Andrea, excuse me.
No, that sounds reasonable to us. So
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we just wanted to work more, you know, collaboratively. You know, and Kim provided us with a timeline, and so I think it's positive.
Yep,
Carol, do
yeah.
you have anything?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Okay. Even though I hate to do this to John. No, is John still here?
No, he looked like he's gone.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me just jump right to 3.7, reappointment of master plan committee members: Kim Craven, Karen Calmette, Bill Rideout, Andrea Wood, Don, all right, Cynthia Donovan Schuster, is she's currently not a town resident, correct?
I believe that's correct.
Okay, and Beth, correct me, Beth, I don't believe that we can make an appointment to the master plan committee for a non-resident.
I believe that's also correct.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so in terms of reappointment, we have Kim, we have Karen, we have Bill Rideout, Andrea Wood, Don Hayes, and Todd Mellison. Can I have a motion to make that reappointment?
I can make a motion with discussion.
If there's any discussion, then let's have the discussion before we do a motion. How's that?
Okay. I have a couple of I did review the last master plan meeting, and there was a couple of areas that I definitely wanted to go over before we do a point. There seems to be some differing an opinion on a couple of matters, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Number one is I want to be able to help and get this thing done for the sake of the town. I'm looking at Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 81D, which says that the Master Plan Committee is established through the Planning Board. So the document that's being produced, the master plan, is a planning board document, not you know, the master plan is not autonomous board. It does it is working through the planning board because we are the planning part for the town. I think that's very, very important because the planning board is the one that needs to present this to the state and DHCD. And I think it's really important to define that this master plan is for the town of Townsend. It's not for any board or it's not for any committee. And I think that's really an important distinction to put. Number two is that there is town bylaws that specifically state that the members of the planning board are ex officio members, and ex officio members have the rights and obligations of the board and the committee that they serve on. This means that, as far as I'm understanding it, unless I'm mistaken, that we do have, let's see, the ex officio members includes the right to discuss, debate, and make decisions and vote on anything. So I'd really like to be able to work very collaboratively so that, I mean, I have a lot of knowledge on the housing end of it. I know that other members of the planning board have knowledge, expertise on their areas of it. And I believe that collaboratively we can work together to be able to get this, you know, done rather quickly. I know that it's been a lot of time, and I'm willing to put forth as much time and effort as I can to get it done. But this is a collaborative effort. It's a planning board issue, and the planning board is the one that's requesting to make sure that, you know, all of these issues are taken care of. There's from what I'm understanding is that if there is any direction that needs to be done, it really should be done through both the master plan committee and the planning board. The direction shouldn't be coming from any other office in town. And I do believe that we just need to follow procedure. This is Mass General Law, and it is the bylaws, and also with you know, the other ordinances that the town has. With this, and the reason why I wanted to bring that up is I wanted to make it very clear before we make a vote on appointing that's all I really have to say.
So Bill, is that consistent with your understanding?
Yes, in fact, we very much appreciate any member of the planning board coming by and helping in any way. So that's completely with my vision too. So Chaz, if you want to help or you want to attend the meetings, that I don't know about the voting thing. I just don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
But the cooperation thing, yes, I'm definitely 100% in favor of that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because it's if we are using our administrator to be able to get postings and all of that kind of stuff, we also, because I haven't seen notices in the past, so I didn't know when your meetings were, or I would have been definitely, I would have availed myself to help you guys out.
Well, of course, we were disrupted by the pandemic like everybody else. So
Yeah.
Okay, Andrea, do you want to add anything?
Oh, this is exactly what I wanted.
Okay, good.
I'm really pleased.
I'm glad to hear that.
May I just make a comment, Lance?
Yes, Beth.
Just so the master plan committee is aware, there has been a posting made looking for additional master plan committee members. Again, to help with the collaborative effort that Mr. Sexton-Duranian expounded upon, I do feel like, more members would be helpful, even in an administrative capacity.
Mhm.
So I hope that the master plan committee will welcome any additional members if we do in fact get a response, which we haven't yet. It's been posted though. So you're
yes, you're speaking for the committee. I don't know if I can or not, but I'm speaking personally. We certainly would welcome anyone who wants to help in this effort.
Thank you.
Good. And Bill, I'm very pleased to hear this because there are some other boards that may be able to help us as well with this. I know that the Housing Authority would be more than glad to help out. Those are the kinds of things that are going to get things moving through as opposed to, having one or two people do it. I think unified, we need to get this done. And, my main concern, just so everybody is understanding, is that we, because of the way our town is structured, it's very difficult for us to be able to gain funds to do anything. I mean, our tax base is our tax base. So if we need to expand on some housing or economic development or anything, we really need to be able to avail ourselves to the state to find out what grants are available to us. And the only way that we can truly get good granting is to be able to have a solid plan, because that's what the state wants to see. What is your town? And let me see your master plan. So that's why I think it's very important for us to buckle down and get this thing done.
Well, if I put on my rail trail hat, we have referred to the old master plan a number of times in grants.
Yep.
So I use that same, so I've got that same motivation that you do, Chaz.
Good. So we're on the same page then. I'm very glad to hear it.
Okay. With that, then, Chaz, do you feel comfortable moving forward with a reappointment a motion?
Yes, that we reappoint to the Master Plan Committee the following members: Kim Craven, Bill Rideout, Andrea Wood, Don Hayes, and Todd Melanson.
And you left off Karen.
Correct. Oh, Karen? No.
Karen Clement.
Oh, sorry, and Karen Clement. Sorry, Karen.
Oh gosh, that was my heart jumped out here because I thought you said that you specifically left off Karen.
No,
Perfect.
Cynthia.
Right.
No, it was the Cynthia, because I had a
Yes.
question also about residency.
Yep. Carol, do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, Chaz?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Lance, yes. Okay.
May I ask, Beth, if you would be able to provide our contact information for Bill and for the others so that they can get in contact with us if they need to?
Yes, I certainly will. And vice versa, I would love an update. I know that Mr. Hayes sent me an updated contact list, but we don't have volunteer response form. So if anything has changed or been updated on the master plan committee, that would be appreciated too, if you'd send it into the planning board office.
We'll do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so let me bounce back up to 3.5 DLTA MRPC Townsend Chapter 43D feasibility grant.
Okay, so you guys received an email today from Kayla Kress at MRPC.
Yes.
She's been moving along with mapping the priority development sites that had been prioritized by the board. So in that email, you'll see, if you can unzip and open the files, you'll see the GIS maps of all the priority development sites that were discussed.
Mm-hmm.
You'll also see a spreadsheet that she has put together with the criteria for each individual site. And I believe she, in that same email, gave an update on what the next steps are in terms of making some decisions, I think, about which priority development sites. And then the actual outreach to property owners, the private property owners, to ensure that they are interested in participating in the program, and as well as finalizing the application. So she's gotten quite a bit done. She's not here tonight, but she did send all that information over and I forwarded it to you. And I'm not surprised if you didn't get a chance to really look through it closely. But you know, over the next week, I'm going to digest it and sift through it and send me any comments, or you can discuss it tonight. I haven't had a chance to go through it in depth myself, but I can try to answer any questions.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with her work here. Just throwing that out there.
Absolutely. She did a great job.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So 3.8 mandatory referral for 50 Highland Street.
Ooh, did I send that to you guys?
I don't remember seeing it.
Oh, no. Oh, let me see if I can forward that to you. But essentially, yes, this is a appeal of the building commissioner's decision. So there was a letter as well as an application. Yeah, I'm gonna have to send that to you. I can read you the letter if you want, and the legal notice if that helps, or I don't know. I could send it
When's it going to be addressed on the next on the ZBA?
Wednesday.
Can you send it to Lance, and Lance, can you share it?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me see if I can do
Okay,
that.
why don't you email it to me, Beth?
Okay. I'll take a few minutes if you want
All right,
to-
so while she's emailing it to us, I added 3.9 that is basically whether or not the planning board, I was asked by Jerry, whether or not the planning board wants our meetings available live, I think on Channel 9 or after the fact on YouTube. And I thought that was something that I would like to hear comments from other board members, so that I shouldn't just unilaterally make that decision. I will give you my opinion. I think my opinion is that transparency and public involvement in our board meetings is a very, very good thing to have. However, I wanted to add to that I think that there should be consistency in our, just say land use, for example, that not only should planning board do it, but all of the land use departments such as ZBA as well as conservation. That's my feeling. Any feedback?
I agree with you as well. The only concern that I have is that I think that I like the YouTube for it. I don't necessarily feel that we need to go live with that.
Okay. I agree with you because, you know, even though Jerry probably doesn't want to hear this, not everyone has Comcast video services as well. So I agree with you that YouTube is a good thing to do. Carol?
since I don't really do YouTube or any of those things, and I tend to be technically challenged.
Okay.
But I don't have a problem being transparent and putting stuff out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So can I have a motion that the planning board has no objections if our meetings are replayed on YouTube?
So moved.
Okay, Chaz, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Carol
Yes.
and Lance votes yes. Okay.
Lance, this is Hartley Plushaw. Do you
Yes,
want me to
Hartley.
start? Do you want me to start by uploading this meeting to YouTube tonight?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. Let's see. I'm checking to see if I have a.
Yeah, I just sent it to all three of you.
Okay.
Do you want me to share it,
I just sent
Chaz?
I just sent the email to Chaz and to Carol.
Okay.
And the email is the letter of determination from the building commissioner, as well as the application that has been submitted to the ZBA, and a plot plan as well. So if you want, I can read the letter, or you can.
It's probably better that we each read the letter ourselves. That probably would be the most efficient thing to do.
Yeah.
Did you send it to me also?
I did. Yeah. Did you get it?
Not yet.
The problem is that I'm downloading it right now. It seems like there's a lot of information there.
Nope, it just came. It's here.
Okay, good.
Boy, your internet speed is faster than mine, Carol.
So this from the building commissioner is what you're referencing, Beth?
Yes, so the building commissioner wrote a letter of determination, and the applicant, in response to that letter, filed his application for an appeal of the building commissioner's determination. And it's also posted as a variance in the legal notice for the public hearing, which gives the zoning board of appeals additional flexibility in terms of if they do, come to a resolution, then he has also applied for a variance, and at the same time, he's applied for an appeal and a variance. So it sort of, it gives them flexibility.
And this is a mandatory referral.
Yes, yeah. So can you open the plot plan and kind of see what he's proposing there? It's not a great plot plan, but it is, he tried to sketch it out.
In words, what is he doing?
He is proposing to construct a second driveway to enter the building from the part of the dwelling that he and his wife live in, and the rest of the family lives on the other side of the dwelling. The problem is there's a fire hydrant. I don't know if you have the plot plan open, but there is a fire hydrant. So the building commissioner has, noted that this is not acceptable, that the proposed driveway can't go. He doesn't have a lot of option to move it anywhere because he's constricted by the wetlands on the right. So a lot of options have been discussed about that fire hydrant. He's had discussions with the water department about moving the hydrant. His proposal is to protect the hydrant with some heavy duty, basically concrete, I want to call them Jersey barriers or what have you. So that's his proposal now. And the zoning board of appeals will take up the matter Wednesday night. If you guys would like to tune in, it's 5 o'clock. But you can see he has a septic system there. So
Yeah.
he does have a lot of room. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right there.
Yeah.
Um,
The fire department has sent back mandatory referrals. I'm waiting for the Board of Selectmen's referral. I am also waiting on the water department. But I think the water department, I've been told, will be attending the public hearing. So they'll give their referral comments live.
So what referral comment do they, so is the existing plan basically putting a driveway less than 15 feet from a fire hydrant?
That's the proposal. Yeah, it's a proposed driveway. And it's, he's proposing it within 15 feet of the hydrant, which is in violation of the bylaw, which is
Right.
why.
Okay, I mean, I think that, I personally feel like we need to support our building commissioner, and, you know, we stand by his, you know, his decision, and, you know, support the ZBA and their resolution of the matter.
I agree. I agree. I thank them for their referral and support the decision of both the building inspector and the zoning board.
Okay, thank you. I'll write that down. Make sure that gets into the record.
I have way too many windows open right now.
So do I. I got the same problem.
You guys
All right.
vote on that referral comment?
Do you have something that you can say that what the referrals is? Beth, did you write something down?
Yeah, that the planning board supports the decision of both the building commissioner and the zoning board of appeals and the resolution of this particular appeal.
Yep.
May I have a motion?
I make a motion that Beth sends the mandatory referral with those comments.
Do I have a second?
No, I'll second that.
Okay, Chaz, how do you vote?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
Lance, yes. All right, so that brings us down to notices from Townsend and other towns.
Yeah, those I think I've sent quite some time ago, Chad.
You did. I don't think any of it is valid right now, to be honest.
Yeah, you don't either. And
Okay,
there hasn't been a lot coming in. I will make a point of looking when I get back to the office, but I have been working remotely for a few days due to a back injury. But when I go back in, I'm sure whatever's there, I will scan an email to the board.
okay. Oh, and I also noticed that I boo-booed Beth. I glanced right over 3.6 Safe Routes to School update by Chaz.
Okay.
That actually, I mean, I have been talking with Veronica. She's passed me on. This is something that she was working on that I'm trying to work on, and I'm trying to get up to speed with it. Right now, what we're trying to do is to be able to collaborate more with the superintendent, the police department, and the fire department. So I think if you don't mind to put this back on the next on the 30th agenda, and then we can revisit that, and hopefully I'll have some more information.
That'd be great.
Okay, so let me get back down. We did 4.1, now 4.2, notification from EEA regarding the MVP FY21 action grant application, Townsend Water Supply Assessment.
Yes, I attended a debriefing call. I think it was last week. Veronica Kell was on the call. Hillary King, the MVP regional coordinator. I think there was DEP personnel on the call, and we got some feedback as to why the town did not receive funding for our MVP Action Grant proposal, the Townsend Water Supply Assessment proposal. And I think we got some good feedback, but my biggest takeaway is the MVP program is becoming more and more competitive as more towns are designated as MVP communities. I think I sent you guys our notification that Townsend did receive our designation, which is awesome. It does, we are hoping to resubmit this application with, of course, some edits and some adjustments. We do have a new water superintendent coming on board soon as well. Hoping to discuss this with the new water superintendent because the water department has a big role to play. And yeah, we did get some pointers on what we can do to be more competitive in the next round. So hoping that we have your support to continue on and try again.
Yep, I agree with that 100%.
Okay. All right, 4.3 notification from DOT regarding Townsend Shared Spaces, a streets grant application.
Yes, unfortunately, the first round was not funded. And that primarily was because the grant application, I think, was a little, I believe I distributed it to the board, was a little too much focused on placemaking. I think it was a little too much focused on like future and setting up, I think, well, I don't know how to word this, but they're looking for more immediate infrastructure that can be laid out for townspeople to get outdoors and gather and have outdoor activities. And I think the original proposal, number one, we might have been asking too much because I think the ask was like 130,000 or something. Number two, I think, was too focused on placemaking is what they called it. And number three, they felt it was too big of a project to be completed in the timeline. These projects have to be done quickly, and they have to have a pretty kind of an instant gratification, if you will, and a benefit instantly for the public because they have to be related to the pandemic and the situations that are being created you know, by that. So the good news is we did get the feedback from the DOT on the first round, and a new round is now available. We'll call it the Winter Shared Streets and Spaces. And the Board of Selectmen have, you know, are aware, the town administrator is aware, and we're starting conversations as to how to shape the first proposal or take a new tack. I don't know what, you know, the plan is, but those conversations have started. So there is an opportunity. Yeah, pretty awesome.
Okay. Any other questions on 4.3? All right, 4.4, Beth, if you can give us an update on the Small Business Assistant Grant Program.
Yes, I've been trying to keep close tabs on that, as is Lori. I'm constantly asking Glenn over at MRPC for updates. A little bit, yeah, I mean, I'd like to see a little more, but I'm trying to be patient. I understand that the Small Business Assistance Grant Program the deadline was extended into December. So I updated our announcements on the planning board webpage, but I'm not seeing a lot of update and outreach from MRPC on this program. So, I mean, I'm a little reluctant to continue to put the announcement out there because I'm not getting a lot of, you know, feedback from MRPC on how they're actually administrating and managing it. So I've kind of stalled a little bit. I was kind of going gung ho, as was Lance, beginning going door to business door and talking to people. But I'm just sort of kind of heating back a little bit. And
Do we
waiting.
know if there's been any applications, Beth, for any of this?
We do, yes. I think there were 10 applicants from Townsend.
Okay.
And I did hear back from one of them who thanked me for, letting them know about the application. But in the same conversation, I learned that there's no action taken yet from MRPC. The application went in, and then there's really kind of a lag in feedback. So I'm not sure how the administration is handling it over there, but Lori and I are both asking for updates pretty much every week.
Okay.
And I'll continue to update the board as I hear.
Okay, great. Gosh, my glasses. I lost my glasses somehow. All right, our next planning board meeting is November the 30th. Does anyone have anything else?
I do not. I make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll
Do I have a
second that
second?
motion.
Okay, how do you vote, Chaz?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And Lance, yes. This went quicker than I thought it would.
I am very glad.
So am I.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Have
All
a
right.
good night.
Yep, and thank you, Jerry, for hosting this.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yep.
Thank you, Hartley.
Thank you, Hartley.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Hartley, as well.
Hartley, can you send me the recording, please, when you get a chance? Hartley?
I'll try to do that. We will be setting it up on YouTube, so will be able to see it on YouTube.
Okay, that would be great. That's great. Okay, we'll take care of that then. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye now.
Okay, Hartley, you got everything from here, bud?
Excuse me?
You got everything from here then?
I think so. Yeah, I'm just going to upload it onto YouTube.
All right, good enough. Lance, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Lance.
Shows he's still, he's, all right. I'm just going to end it here, I think.
Okay, if I leave now, Jerry?
Yep, goodbye.
Thank you.